And hopefully you guys are able to hear me okay. Might be a little bit of an echo. I'm in a very small room that's getting a lot of reverberation. Um, anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. Uh, this is going to be a relatively short go-to session. Most of the portfolio project sessions will be a little shorter than what you might be used to with other courses. Um, Tonight, I just wanted to give you an overview of the portfolio project process, sort of the series of courses that you'll be taking, and give you an idea of what's coming up ahead, as well as what to expect this month in particular. If you've looked at the MCBS curriculum, which I assume everyone has, you'll see that there are portfolio project courses spread out periodically throughout the curriculum. And if you lay this all out in a timeline like I've done here, you'll see that these courses sort of break up the curriculum into segments. So if you use those as milestones, they provide sort of groupings of courses. So what we've done with the portfolio project courses is use those actually as milestones to give you opportunities to demonstrate the skills and knowledge that you're gaining throughout the program. And so you'll be creating a series of projects that reflect the skills and knowledge that have been covered in the courses up to that point, usually between where you're at and the last portfolio project you would have taken. So it's going to look something like what we have here. In Portfolio Project 1, which is where you're at now, it's going to be a lot of foundation setting activities. We'll look at your professional goals, but also you'll select the subject that will be the basis for your portfolio projects coming up. And I'll get into the nature of the subject a little later. Down the road in Portfolio Project 2, you'll create a brand style guide, which will cover ideas of brand creation, but also some of the principles that will be covered in aesthetics, like color theory and typography and that sort of thing, as well as some of the ideas from new media tools and your intro course as well. Farther down the road in Portfolio Project 3, you'll be creating a digital video asset, as well as using your graphic design skills that you'll have gained at that point to create a brand logo that connects back to the style guide. The Portfolio Project 4 course is probably going to be more open-ended, where you get a selection of projects to work on. That's to be developed because we've been in the process of revamping the portfolio process. And then in the end, what this will result in is a complete media campaign that focuses on the subject that you've chosen. And the subject you'll be dealing with heavily in week 2, but just to give you some information now, the subject is going to be basically sort of either a company or a business or an individual, like a public figure or an organization, nonprofit, that you can create your media around, that you'll focus on. Say if in Portfolio Project 2, you'll be creating the brand style for that subject, and then creating video assets that relate to that subject and so on. So it could be like a promotional video or a viral marketing video or something along those lines. So the idea is that once you get down here to the end, you'll have, say, one of the examples is a student chose a golden retriever rescue of Central Florida as her subject. So she would have created a whole new brand identity for that organization, some promotional videos or public service announcements around that organization, and so forth. And that will probably become a little more clear as to how that's all going to work as we move ahead. But are there any questions so far? Okay, so starting off, as I said, in Portfolio Project 1, it's really a lot of setting the foundation for the portfolio projects that are coming up, as well as getting an idea of your own professional direction. Because the reason that we look at your own professional goals starting off is because that will in turn shape the direction that you take your portfolio. Even though looking back at this timeline, the projects they complete are going to be pretty prescribed. You're going to have, like, everyone will be doing a brand style guide, and everyone will be doing a digital video. There'll be more flexibility in 4, but you can shape those projects to suit your needs. Say, if you are interested in marketing, then you could do a more marketing related video. If you're interested in journalism, you could do a journalistic piece or news report or something like that as your video component. Because really the skills that I'll be looking for at that point is that you know how to produce and edit an effective video. The content of that video would be more up to you, so it'll have double duty of showing these technical skills as well as give you a showpiece for the facet of the media world that you're interested in. The activity, let's see, that you are doing this week, it should only take you less than an hour to do. You'll be describing your dream job in the media world. Actually, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the media world if that's not where you're headed, but since you are media communications majors, that only makes sense. And exploring what it is about that job that appeals to you, as well as what inspires you about some of the more prominent figures in that field. You'll also be writing what is called a personal mission statement. And this goes along with that idea of defining your own goals in order to have some guidance in the direction that you want to take your academics and especially your portfolio. The personal mission statement ties in with the idea of beginning with your ends in mind. You've probably heard of mission statements in relation to business, and in the activity, I've provided a link to Starbucks mission statement. And if you look at that, you see it really is their way of defining what their idea of success is, and what their values are. And that's what this is going to be for you as individuals as well, is defining your own idea of success as a professional and as a person in general. The mission statement will contain, or will be composed of some of these following factors. It doesn't have to explicitly answer each of these questions or each of these prompts, but these are some of the things to think about as you're writing this this statement. Think about what you believe, what is most important to you. And this is really just sort of your life outlook and your professional outlook. It could be your ideas of professional ethics or behavior, or what you consider to be the measure of success for that particular profession. What it is that makes you unique. And again, this could be professional or personal. Really emphasizing the professional, but you can, those things obviously overlap. So it's up to you to decide how much of your personal values in life that you want to share in this. Why you do what you do. This is, of course, vitally important. You're here for a reason. So, think about what it is that motivated you to pursue the MCBS program and to pursue a career in media. And where you're going. This is not just physically where you're headed, but where do you want to end up? What is your goal? Here are a couple of examples of these that I could show you. And you'll see that, like I was saying, there's a real difference in the degree to which these focus on professional life versus personal life. This one is more work-related. And by the way, take note of the length of these. This is pretty normal of what I'll be looking for, but so you don't want to be too short, but you also don't need to go too in depth with this either. It's meant to be an inspirational statement of your direction, your mission that is really for your purpose. So you can look at this and remember where you're headed and sort of use it as your compass. So this individual stated, I believe that the heart behind every radio show isn't the host, but the people behind the scenes that make it possible. I strive to become the most timely and professional worker in the studio. I come from a background in entertainment and radio industry. I have worked with live broadcasts as well as recorded broadcasts for over a year now. I have no greater passion than to be the best programming director in the radio world, and I will not give up until I feel that I have completed this goal. So you can see sort of the determination and the direction that he wanted to take his career. Very much career-oriented. And this is something that he could always refer back to and kind of remember why he's doing what he's doing. And this is sort of a counterpoint. I have a bunch of these I could show, but I'm not going to dwell on this too long. But just as a counterpoint, because this one is sort of gets into a blurring of the lines between the personal and the professional, because this individual was starting a nonprofit organization related to the arts, and you can see her values in terms of her spirituality as well as her commitment to social justice was coming into this mission statement as well. And that's just pausing for a moment to allow you to read this one. I can I have a whole slew of past mission statements here as well, which I'm not going to read all these out to you because you can do that for yourself. But just to give some examples. And this one you can see is one of them a little bit longer. Okay, and these will be available on the archive once we wrap up if you want to go through and read them in detail. But more to the point, I'm going to back up a bit. Just to emphasize why we're doing this, and that is, of course, we want this the MCBS program to give you what you need it to be, the knowledge and experience that you will need. But at the same time, we want to make sure that you're gaining the skills that we set out to impart to you. And so this is our effort to do both of those things in one process, giving you the flexibility to make the portfolio what you want it to be, but at the same time measuring the objectives that we've set for the program. Are there any questions? And I'm not sure if all of this is clear at this point, but okay. So let me talk for just a minute again about the process as well as the nature of the portfolio subject. Actually, since we have a small group this time, and you can put this in the chat or open up the microphone, but what, for you two that are here with me today, what are your areas of interest in the media world? Okay, and Judith says transmedia production. That's a pretty exciting and emerging aspect of the media world that's sort of a recent development. And Waverly's not sure, which is also okay at this point. We're early on. And I suspect, Waverly, that as we move along and you move through the program, you'll encounter ideas or facets of the media world that maybe you hadn't encountered before and find some new direction. So talking about transmedia, just to use that as the example, in selecting your portfolio subject, you might think about picking as your subject a company or an organization that could make use of transmedia in their promotion or in some other either promotion or some other way. Most often I've seen it used as a marketing tool, although sometimes the transmedia is used in alternate reality games that are there strictly for the sake of enjoyment. But yes, Bungie was a big one early on, and in particular with I believe it was the iHeartBees ARG. So you might pick something like Bungie, but we want to stay smaller scale. You don't want to pick a subject that's too well known. You want something that's kind of up and coming, because if you pick a big brand name, it's already too well established. There's not enough creative freedom for you. But say you picked an up and coming game developer or something along those lines, then as you're moving through these projects, you get to apply your media skills to various aspects of that subject, developing their brand, creating. And there's where you start getting into some transmedia, is developing these audio and visual and online assets. So rather than creating sort of a straightforward commercial, you could create something that's a little more story-based, transmedia-based. And then once you get into the more open-ended portfolio projects in Portfolio 4, take it in more of the transmedia direction as well. So just to give you an idea. You won't be picking a subject until next week, but it's good to be thinking about that now. It is sort of a big decision because you'll be working with it throughout the program, but and it's not to put a lot of pressure on it, but you're free to pick something that you like and you enjoy, and it's not to say that you can't change directions down the road, though. We'd encourage you to think of something now that will give you plenty of material to work with. Did you guys have any questions about anything I've discussed so far? Or anything that's not quite clear? Okay, well, if you guys feel like you're all set, that was really my overview of the process and what's to come, and what I had prepared for today. Next week we'll be talking more about the subject selection, but if you guys feel like you have a good idea of what's coming up, then I'm happy to let you go for the evening. And thank you again for joining me. I always appreciate you taking the time and like to see you get some one-on-one time with you.